Now, long before U2, Westlife and Sir Bob, Ireland had an international singing superstar. His name was John McCormack. He was the pop idol of his time, selling millions of records to an insatiable public. Writer Gordon Ledbetter joins me now to tell us about the DVD release and CD, I should say, but to celebrate the life of this famous tenor. But before we talk to Gordon, let's take a reminder of the man known as the Master of Song.
If all those endearing are charms which I gaze on so fondly today.
Before Elvis Presley, before Sinatra and Crosby, there was John McCormack. He was a phenomenon of his times. He packed out concert halls on both sides of the Atlantic, and his records in the 1920s, said the critic Max de Charency, were as common in the American home as Father's Slippers by the Fire.
Just even listening to there, it evokes memories of long ago. And I mean, people now mightn't, younger people now mightn't realise just how big a superstar he was.
Well, not only do they not realise how big a superstar he was, a lot of people don't even know the name. I mean, for example, we had a gig in the National Concert Hall about a year ago. I gave a friend of mine a ticket, and she was getting her hair quiffed that morning. And the young guy doing her hair, he said, you know, what's the occasion? She said, it's a McCormack tribute concert. And he said, well, who's McCormack? And she said, well, he was the biggest singer in America before Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
And he said, well, who's Bing Crosby?
Oh, dear. Well, then there was no hope there at all. Yeah. I mean, 200 million records.
Yeah,
he sold.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
He was Ireland's first superstar, no question about it. And he was a household name. McCormack 78 in those days, no CDs, no LPs in the 1920s. But in the 1920s, a McCormack 78, they said, in the family home was as common as a refrigerator, a freezer, or Daddy's slippers by the fire. That's to quote a critic. And
then a huge concert-selling artist as well.
Yeah.
Massive.
He was, he started concertizing about 1912 in America, and by the middle war years, he could fill virtually any concert hall to overcapacity. And I think you had a clip there of him at the New York Hippodrome, 1918. There's 5,000 in the audience. There's 1,000 standing at the back of the auditorium, and there's 1,000 on the stage behind the tenor. Audience of 7,000, and not a microphone in sight.
Isn't that the amazing thing? Because you see concerts now, you see bands and solo artists playing, but everything is like, there's massive rigs and stuff. But this man stood there in the middle of a stage and sang to 7,000 people.
And he didn't have an enormously large voice, but what he had was this phenomenal projection and the smoothness of tone. And he could, they say, the finest pianissimi he could get out to the back of the hall, no bother, no matter how big the auditorium.
Born in Athlone and was always very, very proud of his Irish roots. Always, like, never let that go. And a very religious man as well.
Sure. He was raised with the papal peerage for his services to charity. Tremendous man for charity. Also, he's an ecumenist before his time, which people maybe overlook or don't know. When he gave money to Athlone, he made one condition, that there should be no sectarian discrimination as to how the money was spent, purely on the grounds of need. That was the kind of man he was.
And it's an interesting little fact that he never took his voice for granted and always sort of said it's a gift from God. And before a concert, he would go to a local church to pray and thank for his gift.
Yeah. I think in a way he was, there was an element of disbelief that he had this phenomenal, not only a wonderful voice, but a wonderful technique. You know, he came from a pretty humble background. And the next moment, here he was, the icon of an age. And I think he felt there was a certain element of, you know, me? You know, is this possible?
And mixing with the biggest stars in the world as well.
Yeah. And I think he was terrified of losing the voice.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was nervous about it, yeah. He's a very highly strung man. And it was a voice of such purity. You know, you just don't get it today. Singers have to sing against too big an orchestra. But McCormack's day, he had this absolute purity of silken tone, just like a violin. And I think for that reason, he was fearful of losing it. Of course, you know, with age, every singer has to
Now,
going through decline.
He also helped out in two, not one, but two world wars, or offered to help out to as services in two world wars. He had actually retired before World War II.
Yeah, yeah. He retired in the States in 1937 and in Europe in 1938. And then he came out of retirement to sing for the Red Cross up to about 1942. He got emphysema, this lung condition, and that more or less finished the career then.
But and the touring sort of contribute to that then?
Yeah, he smoked. Which wouldn't have helped, I must say.
Like to come out of retirement to go on those tours to help the World War II effort, and then the ill health started to kick in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So tell us about the DVD and the CD.
This is something that Martin Dwan has put together. It's his compilation. Martin Dwan was the guy who made the DVD, the documentary. Very, very talented young film director. And he's put this compilation together of McCormack's religious music and popular songs of a spiritual nature, if you like, Angel Serenade. And it's in aid of Our Lady's Hospice in Children's Hospice.
Our Children's Hospital in Crumlin.
In Crumlin, yeah.
So the DVD, as we saw there, some telling the life story, and then right. Angel Serenade, listening to some of the fantastic music from John McCormack from 1884 to 1945. Yeah. And it's just been released, so it's in all the shops now.
There are 22 discs on this. And you have the documentary as well. So 2 discs.
So if you're a fan, or not even a fan, but if you're a fan of good music, this is the thing for you.
Absolutely.
Listen, Gordon.